Welcome back to the Maven Podcast and this soothing conversation with myself, Denise Sansumbury, and the Tondi Wiley. In part two, we delve into vulnerability as a creative, inner child connection, mothering while healing, as well as empowerment through art. I want to thank our sponsor, The Self Inside, where Black women heal holistically. The Self Inside offers therapy services, group support, workshops, Reiki, and more. Be sure to check show notes for more information. Let's get started. Can you share a little bit about the vulnerability in showcasing your work to the public? Yeah. That's the whole, like, piece that I think is easy for creatives to skip over. Like, it's one thing to create, it's a whole nother thing to share, and it is very vulnerable. It's like taking those pages of your journal and putting them on a wall for people to tell their own story about. Yeah, but I think that, um there's so much power in being vulnerable. There is so much power in sharing your heart and being transparent.
I think there's also where that vulnerability is connected to truth
Mm.
and like just the vision of like this is my truth. This is my truth. And in it, sharing it allows others to commune with and or embrace their truth as well. And it's truly a gift that keeps on giving in that regard.
And I would go so far as to say, as an artist, especially if you're conscious, especially if you know that you're here to help heal the planet, it's your duty. And you do humanity a huge disservice when you don't share your work. And I think it's really easy to get stuck in the rut of not sharing. But I think that it's actually very important.
It's a part of your soul assignment.
Yeah.
And when you don't honor, you don't lean into it, even in the most simplest way, like just show that you are taking step in action to share and um extend your gift in whatever capacity that is. When you don't, there's consequences to that.
Yeah.
It just is. There's consequences. On a spiritual level, I think first and foremost, right? And I think there's just a trickle down effect how it impacts uh the whole,
Yeah.
when you're not obedient to the call, and that's why it's so important, you know, when one chooses not to, but there's still curiosity there to explore why, that is part of doing the necessary work. Sometimes your gift directs you to doing the work that's needed so that you can show up in your light,
Exactly.
right? Like your gift isn't just externally or for others, it's a pathway to your own evolution.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And for those out there who you feel it, you've stopped and started, right? That voice, that inner knowing, that subtle knock, right? That keeps coming back. And then it's followed by the language like, oh, I should do this and I should do that.
And the guilt comes in.
Or it's suppressing, later,
Mm-hmm.
later, I'll do it later or after. Those days are over. Lean into it. Lean into it. And if it helps take the pressure off, lean into it for yourself. Just do it for yourself. Yeah. You don't have to, what's the saying, put the cart before the horse, essentially. The how it's to show up in the world, the evolution of that will come. Allow it to grow and bloom with self first. Yeah, that's dope. I'm curious to know, you have created beautiful spaces where you welcome folks in. Mhm. And for them to get into their artistic bag. And it really is helping their journey, whether they know whether they know it or not, right? Like some people, I'm sure you've had people come like, I didn't know I needed this. Yeah. You know, from the artist, from the teacher, and from the healer lens, what has that been like, welcoming beautiful people into a space and watching their creative expression um, show up and flourish in the space that you cultivated?
That's one of my greatest joys. Like, I don't even have words for that. It's like, wow, it's humbling. I feel like I'm being used for the purpose that I was created for. It's is the best feeling ever to watch that awaken in someone. Watch someone get back in tune with their creativity. Because I know the journey that they're about to go on. I know that they just got to experience something within themselves, that they will get to explore, and it'll be medicine.
Yeah. I find, I have attended a variety of the sacred circles of art. And what I've found in those spaces, I can be vulnerable. Little Denise loves it. She comes front and center. And she's usually the focal point as well. Like, and I think she knows, like, oh, this is like Kimrita to come out and be. And it's also like, if you need help with like centering and grounding in the present, if you struggle with being in the present moment, creative circles like this put you right there. For me, it feels like a vortex. I step into a realm, and for however long I'm there, it is medicine. Time does not exist. It's a creative expression. It's fun. It's introspective. And the finished product, I can sit back and be like, wow, like, okay, wait a minute. This came out of, whether it be the anchoring thought that you've established with the circle, or affirmation, or the intent. And it's just like, wow, this, and then you look, I can look at the portrait that I created, and I'm just like, that. And then I love how you open the floor for those who are comfortable in doing so, talking about. That's the other thing. So then you also allow others to be in that space of vulnerability and truth, if they choose to be, to share their piece, and it is a beautiful tool. Like, so add this to your satchel. That creative expression and art therapy, art healing is If you haven't tried it, or if it's been a minute since you've been in that type of space, get there. Experience it. Because it truly is medicine. And not even, also just thinking like, with the art, the color therapy.
Yeah.
It's so multidimensional.
Mm-hmm.
It's so faceted. And it's just a really, really beautiful experience. So thank you. Thank you for creating these spaces for one to come and experience that holistically through art.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing up in those spaces and the time that you had. Everyone always brings something for everyone there too. And that's why it is such a sacred, because you can do it within yourself in your own solitude, and that's powerful. But coming together,
Yes. The community, the circle
is so impactful.
It really is. I just feel like we be little kids in there, just like very childlike. And I think that just allows a barrier to be released, because we know adulting is, Lord have mercy. We have many guards up, right, throughout our day to day, and to be welcome to a space where you can just let all those guards down and be free.
Mm-hmm.
And be free in that. Also, I love, can you speak on Paint to Empower? Shout out to the Prolific Dome Pod Project, right? I got to experience being a guest through that immersion. And you intuitively painted these beautiful artistic, or tribal rather, expressions on our face. And it was a whole thing with the theme with the frame, right, with the photographer. And it just was a beautiful experience. Can you share a little bit about Paint to Empower?
Yeah, I was watching the footage from that the other day. That was so powerful and so organic and intentional. What I noticed about that time specifically was I'm starting to understand more in depth, what it means to channel. You know what I mean? So in that space, it was really cool because the faces and the bodies were my canvas, and I got to commune with everybody's energy, and it almost felt like painting prayers on each person, and creating art with the photography and just a moment. Everything had this very beautiful organic flow, and that's I think the beautiful thing about that event specifically, how each one has its own energy, each one has its own medicine. It's always very free, and the people and the healers that it draws are always, it's so potent. It's so potent. That was a really special time.
It really was. I can't believe that's been almost a year now since that particular immersion. So, and I was beautifully in a moment reflecting.
Yeah.
Will there be more of that?
Definitely. This spring, we just had the last one, which was Paint to Empower 5. And then I think we're looking at the springtime for the next one. And the seasons are always it's always intentional. We're always working with that time that we're in, you know what I mean? So it's always a divine led thing.
Yeah.
From the theme to the people that show up to what we choose to paint on and how it's always like, and it's always just like, okay, I got it.
Right on time.
Yeah.
And right on time. And I also just love the team that's created that, leads that. Yourself. Shout out to Aharoon and Jalil.
Yeah. It's like, it's something about creating magic with your friends that's just like unmatched. Just like when we come together for the events and we let our inner children kind of like lead the way. You know what I mean? They have a lot of input.
Yeah.
Our inner children are actually quite wise, you know.
Yes.
You know, when we take a second, it's the same. Sorry, I know I'm going off on a tangent, but it makes me think about like raising children. It changes your whole approach, how you interact with your inner child, how your inner child interacts with other people's inner children. That's what that is. Like when we're in the dome, and it's been some time now, but just speaking to that space and time a year ago, like just freed inner children, creating a world. And that's our job.
Yes.
Yeah, we're grown-ups. And our job is to tap into our inner children and create worlds in space for healing and fun and joy.
This is beautiful because what word of wisdom can you share with mothers out there who are on their healing journey while balancing motherhood? What can help them in the duality of focusing on their healing for themselves while also navigating the other reality of motherhood? Because there's two realms there.
Yeah, it is.
Do you have any word of wisdom for women who are in the thick of it right now?
I think it's what we were saying earlier. Is understanding that it's all a reflection of us. It's all our inner worlds externally reflecting to us. And if we can find a way to look at that and be still with that and have grace, yes, and soothing and tenderness with that, you know.
And pose that same question. Earlier I said, what is this showing me?
Yeah.
For moms, what are they showing me?
And understanding that like in the healing journey, they are your children and your mothering hat that you have to put on. A lot of times I feel like, just speaking for myself, mothering and healing simultaneously can feel impossible because I want to mother my children from a healed place, but I'm healing in real time. So I don't get to show up as this future version of myself for my kids. I have to show up as I am. And they have to show up as they are. So acceptance. Acceptance. Because we can't change anything that we can't first accept. Like, this is what it is. This is what my children are reflecting back to me. What is this trying to show me about my pain, my anger, my wounding? You know? That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's beautiful.
And that's just, there's no cute bow that you could slap on that. You know, the truth and the reality of human relationships is that it can be messy. Yes. And it's not always picture perfect and clean and, but there's beauty in that too. It is. It is. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
That was a great question.
Can you share a little bit about your, is it safe to say, upcoming project of the guide to being human? Hueman. I love how giddy you get when you're talking about your work.
Cause that concept came to me after my first show that you mentioned, which happened in March of 2024, and I called that show "A Guide to Being Human." And this upcoming project is, to me, it's for me. It's something that is a guidebook for myself. And I think it will serve others as well. It's all the things. It's all the things. One of the first downloads I got for A Guide to Being Human was the table of contents and all the subjects that I wanted to dive into, because when I have events like Pain to Empower, I really want to get into my teaching bag, and I want to, for the ones that come and they're open and they're really curious, like, how can I cultivate this tool? How can I put this more into my spiritual practice? Like, sometimes I want that opportunity to go deeper. And this is the opportunity I'm creating for myself to go deeper into color therapy.
Yeah.
And how we can utilize certain colors with intention in our art and in our life, beyond creating artistic pieces. I want to talk about artful living. How do we make our life arts? How do we embody art? Like, I want to be walking art. I am a piece of art. My life is a piece of art. My home is art. Everything is in that. Everything is in that. So that's something that's been on my heart, and I'm finally getting it out and pushing it out, and it feels so good. It feels so good. It feels so magical. It's feeding me first, which is key.
Yes.
And I'm just really enjoying it and having fun with it. And I can't wait to just be able to, like, hand it over, because whoever is for is who is for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I'm so excited for you, and I'm excited for it and how it's going to bless me and others. And I know everything that you do with intention. And it is medicine and wisdom, for the collective. Well, in closing, curious, what's on your playlist right now? What you listening to?
Oh, shit. Iniko. She's so incredible. I'm a huge fan of her artistry. Like a true artist. I feel like in Doji, like, just you can tell they have a level of freedom that's also self-serving. They're just doing what's cool. They're showing up in a way that feels authentic and new and cool. I'm really inspired by those artists. Yeah.
What are you currently reading?
I'm rereading Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert.
Okay.
Yeah.
One.
Especially as I'm putting my own book together. And I know that was my download for A Guide to Being Human was my moment of big magic.
Yes.
And I want to welcome more magic into my life. And I know that creativity and tapping into creativity is literally magic.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm diving into that again. It's a great book.
I'm just loving, like, prominently, I feel like the energetic themes, yeah, in this conversation. Magic has been said a few times. Also freedom, free.
Yeah.
And even leading up to our conversation, like I think I had maybe one or two questions, but I had no other questions. And I was like, that's right on brand because like Tondi's such a free spirit, right? So I'm not going to go in with, even though, you know, we had our pre-show call and I'm like, yeah, I'll have my, and I, leading up post that conversation, I was like, no, like we're just going to let it flow. We're going to vibe like what we naturally do, but the free spirit, free magic. And I just love that here.
Liberation.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here, sister. And thank you for having me. Very well done. Well done. Yeah. And that concludes another beautiful episode of the Maven Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Please follow, subscribe, leave a comment how this has resonated with you. Until next time.